Welcome to Deeper with Darshana, where we skip the small talk and dive down into what's raw and real. Pleasure, shame, justice, power, healing, liberation. These essential aspects of our human experience are among my favorite topics to explore, and I'm inviting you to join me. I'm your host, Darshana Avila, somatic sex and trauma expert and creator of the erotic wholeness method. It is my belief that we are erotic by nature, and our erotic nature encompasses so much more than you might realize. Come along as I drop into curious conversations with other passionate pros and sensual seekers, and occasionally share musings of my own. Bring your curiosity, your sacred, messy, beautiful humanity, and all the parts of yourself. And let's go deeper together. When I say the word God, what happens for you? When I say the word kink, what happens? These words are so evocative, so misunderstood, but also open to so much interpretation. Today's episode is a deep dive into this and more, some of these taboo topics that actually hold the key to so much of a deeper sense of personal power, expansion, understanding, sense of belonging. I cannot wait for you to listen as KJ Song and I explore our respective journeys personally and professionally to bridging the worlds of sex and spirit and really claiming something that is truly ancient. And that is the integration of these aspects of our humanity. Keep listening, and I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to Deeper with Darshana. Today, I am going to be in conversation with KJ Song, and KJ is a queer music minister, holistic kink practitioner, and Master of Divinity student who leads transformative spaces at the intersection of spirit, song, and rowdy liberation. Totally here for it. Also, KJ loves their bacon, their piano, and going to bed at the most geriatric hour of all, which I am a fan of two of those three things, KJ, at a minimum. You can guess which ones. Despite these long fingers, which definitely serve their purpose in my line of work, I've never learned to play the piano.
Come on over. Got one right there. It's right behind.
Okay, well, that could be our second date. But first we're going to podcast date. Thank you so much for being here.
For having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So what's your geriatric bedtime? I'm just curious to know.
Yeah, it's winter right now. We're recording this very close to the winter solstice. So like 8:30, 9.
Yes, I'm right there.
I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't also say that happens in the summer as well. To tell the truth of myself, between 9 and 10 is like my sweet spot.
Yeah, for me that has been the reality for several years at this point, where I just like, I'm done with this overriding my nervous system needs. Like, I want to go to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I generally want to be up with the sun, and there we go.
It's genuine. I got made fun of for it in high school and college. I mean, this has been the case for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like parties that start at 10 or 11, or like kink events that start, at midnight. I'm like, I love y'all. I will not attend.
I'm a big fan of daytime parties, daytime dungeon takeovers.
Daytime dungeon sanctuary. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about church times, like 11 a.m. on a Sunday.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So this gives us a beautiful inroads. You are doing work at the intersection of, would you say, church? You use that word in a way that you claim maybe similarly or differently from how other people understand it. And kink. And I don't even know what my question is here so much as a massive curiosity about how you have come to find yourself exploring at this intersection and what it's all about for you. So here, mic is in your hands.
Thank you. Great. Yeah. Well, where will I start? I will say that I really love God. And being a seminary student at the moment has really brought me deeper into what that means. I did not grow up in the church, in the Christian church. I didn't grow up really in a strong faith tradition, but I did grow up singing, and I did grow up in the Deep South, in particular, singing with gospel choirs. I would be invited by friends of mine from school. I went to a majority Black high school and would find myself in these rooms singing gospel of the lineage I didn't know much about, but there was this huge feeling and this just palpable faith that, you know, came from a long line of oppressed peoples. I just want to be really direct and acknowledge that there's reason why there's so much root and feeling and depth to that music. I didn't get it at the time. I was a young white teenager, but over the years, learning more about the history of that music, it's like, oh, okay, there's roots and tenderness and depth here for a reason. I just know that I felt it. So my way into what I have found and came to know as God was through music and this visceral sense of wonder, of praise. So I didn't grow up with the you're going to hell if you're gay, you know, God thinks you're a sinner. Like, it was in my periphery because I did grow up in the Bible Belt in North Carolina, but it wasn't in my family experience. It wasn't like it first. I feel really privileged and blessed. Like, it didn't get too far in because I spent time singing. I spent time out in nature. I was like, oh, I'm welcomed here. And I think that was, you know, that's just kind of a little bit of a historical overview of what I mean when I say that word. And when I say God, I'm saying that as a queer, non-binary person. I'm saying that as a reclamation because I feel like the church has tried to take that away from queer folks. And a lot of queer folks have had very understandable aversion, resistance, rebellion to that term. And that's understandable. Again, I get it. And I'm like, nobody gets to take that word away from me. Nobody gets to take the word God away. I love the Lord. I will say that.
I love hearing you say that. And I got to admit, when it first came out of your mouth here in this conversation, I noticed that part of me that was like, oh, she just said God. Are people listening going to take issue with that word?
Totally.
And you know, for me, I've been on a reclamation journey of the word God largely because a few years ago I entered into 12-step worlds. And you know, like I started dealing, you know, I'm a trauma therapist, another layer of getting into my trauma and my family of origin stuff. I was like, oh, my codependency, like that's an ism. And like my family of origin story. And the word God made me bristle at first. And then I remembered, so a lot of my spirituality emerged through my proximity and learning through yogic lineages. And God as an acronym in that world is generator, operator, destroyer. So the kind of like trifecta of how creation happens. It's generated, it's maintained, there's destruction, the cycle repeats. And in 12-step world, they talk about it as good, orderly direction. And so I'm like, okay, like I can rock these acronyms. And yet what it fundamentally did was open me back up. And I say back because it used to be there, to this just profound love for some unnameable, ineffable, you know, source, spirit, life, universe, consciousness, you know, divine. And so I feel that, you know, like I'm right there with you, like that love is so vast. And then to be able to have an expression for our praise, I think that many of us, even to secularize this, like we don't really have a template for that. Like, what do we do with praise in our culture? And I know that's a big part of your path. So tell us a little more about praise and what that means.
Yeah, great. Well, I will say that I've given myself a challenge by legally changing my middle name to Praise.
You've done it.
I did that. And part of me is like, what? Okay, Jay, what have you done? It's not just the fun, easy, like gospel praise break with that name. It's hand in hand with grief, right? You get the whole dang spectrum with that. So yes, praise is a hugely important part of my life, my work, what I do. I lead queer spaces for singing. I call it Sing Praise. It's an event that I've been touring for the past 4 or 5 years, specifically welcoming in folks who have had church hurt, who loved the group singing in church, but were not so down with the message and not so down with the, sheer hatred of queer people. So I was like, all right, similar to the word God, they don't get to take communal singing away from us. Let me create a space where we can come together and sing songs that aren't necessarily old traditional hymns, but most of them are ones that I have received myself. I'm also a vocalist and a pianist, and to be in a praise space with queer folks, with folks who are on their own journey with the word God, as you have mentioned. I still am too, right? I don't have that deep lived experience of the church hurt personally, which I really do. I want to acknowledge how much of a privilege that is. And it's a lifelong relationship, and that requires periods of doubt and of not being sure and distance and closeness and real intimacy. So yeah, I I want to just speak to the person who may have also bristled listening to the word God, that when I say that, I mean this like radically inclusive, queer, trans force of love, not a cis guy in the clouds. Like, not at all what I'm talking about.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, let's be real specific.
And I love that you introduced doubt and questioning right there into your relationship with this. So I am, every cell in this body is Ashkenazi Jew, and I grew up with a rather loose religious foundation, nothing strict, and I didn't really strongly identify or disidentify with my Judaism, which is still the case living in the times that we live in. But the thing that I always loved the most about it is that in Judaism, you're taught to question. Like the premise is ask questions. Don't just believe what somebody tells you, but struggle with the question. Bring your doubts forward, bring your skepticism, your lack of understanding, and take a more critical lens to whatever it is that you're chewing on right there and then. And to me, even though this might be my own very radical spin on it, that feels evocative of queerness. It's like, it takes something, and I don't think every Jew out there would identify it that way, but this idea of a more robust spectrum of possibility and different ways of identifying and understanding things, like that's one of the greatest gifts I feel like my religious foundation gave me, even as a non-religious person. And I kind of have a feeling in that sentiment, it's like, the paths are many, but but we're going up the same mountain, like to get to where we are at a place where we can really embrace something bigger than ourselves and be in awe of that. I feel like I'm getting off on a total tangent here, but jump in with me, Gage.
Yeah. No, I hear you. There's real intimacy there. I wrote down in January my theme of the year. It was right when I started my Master's of Divinity program, faith maturation. And that has been a really uncomfortable process. Part of me is like, I gotta give myself a better theme for 2026. I say that jokingly. It's been a really rewarding year. And the maturation of faith, it does come with a lot of doubt. And my bishop at my church in Oakland, Bishop Yvette Flunder, if you don't know her work, whoever's listening, please look her up. She is truly one of a kind and really a bishop with a vision on the future for inclusion. She says that the opposite of faith is not doubt, it's certainty. And that quote really stuck with me this year. Yeah.
Can you say that again?
The opposite of faith is not doubt, it's certainty.
Right, because certainty blocks possibility, certainty blocks mystery, certainty blocks us from that delicious experience of awe and wonder and being taken by surprise.
And precisely why I think the institutionalized Christian church has felt so threatened by that, because there's a lot of power there. There's a lot of power in the mystery. There's a lot of power in the questioning, right? So I think that's definitely woven in and inextricably linked to a lot of the problems that we've seen with the church. So yeah, just kind of coming full circle to your original question, I I love God. I love mystery. I love wrestling with the questions and the discomfort and the joy and the praise. And I also really love kink spaces. And my introduction was back in 2017, I believe. I attended a gathering called Touch and Play that still occurs. They have a number of gatherings all over the world throughout the year. Really, really profound experience for me. And I experienced my first flogging there. I came as a voice teacher. I've had a voice practice for about 12 or 13 years. And was brought in as a way to bring song and kind of have people active in their voices, but was able to experience a lot of the other things offered at this particular gathering, one of which was flogging from a friend that I made. And it happened to be outside. It happened to be in front of like 50 people. And I'm a former musical theater kid. I guess you're always kind of a musical theater kid like that. My background is performance. I love being on stage. I'm just such a sucker for that. But when I experienced that first flogging and had the powerful witness of these people that I'd spent a lot of intimate time with over the course of the week, something in me really clicked. I felt a surrender that felt very similar to surrender I felt in prayer and at church, at particularly the queer Black churches, and the one in Oakland that I love and adore, City of Refuge United Church of Christ. I'm still a member there. Like, oh, there's so much permission here. There's permission, there's inclusion. I feel surrendered. This is a template of surrender that I can directly apply to my faith and to my relationship with God. But now I've experienced it in my body, so I get it on a different level. The getting of it had to come through the physical experience for me.
Yeah.
Not everybody's like that, but I think a lot of more people are than they realize.
I would agree with you there.
That's my hunch.
I can look at that through the lens of like most of my clients, for instance, have a lot of experience in talk therapy. And then they turn around at a certain point. It's like, I can't take this any further. Like, I need to get into my body. I need somebody's hands on my body. I need to feel my body. And this is not different from that. We exist. Our dominant culture is so fantastically skilled at keeping us in our heads. Whether that's with our faith and our spiritual paths or our intellectual pursuits, so much of our life is very disembodied. And so what I'm hearing is you really found an embodied way to open up to your spiritual path through kink, which I love that, because I similar and different. It was explorations of sex and spirit were happening concurrently for me in a way that completely changed the paradigm in my life. And it was the desire for those to feel integrated. That is why I do what I do now, why I'm not in the corporate career that I had in my 20s and living the more mainstream existence. So I really relate to that personally. And I see a lot of people, having similar awakenings, shall we say.
Yes. Yes. Oh, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And this is what I'm studying in school. So, fast forward to now, my personal track that I've created for my Master's of Divinity degree is kink as a form of pastoral care.
Ooh.
As a form of
I imagine we're going beyond just like the tropes of like somebody, and I don't even know the correct terminology because this isn't my religion, but someone in a habit or what have you.
Yeah, that there, and really, and these are thoughts that are still forming in me. I want to be really transparent about that, and that's why I'm taking this schooling on. I was like, I have a ton of ideas around this, but articulating my philosophy is going to be tender and challenging here. So I'm still in that, but essentially through my time as a professional provider, a kink practitioner, I kept seeing people having experiences in session that could be described as nothing other than spiritually profound for them. Tears coming, a sense of something holy in the room that is just undeniable. Like, when you feel it in the room. Yeah. And this kept occurring in my sessions. And that really, it gave me pause and also gave me a certain level of intrigue of what is happening here. This isn't new. This is ancient. And how can this be honored as a form of ministry. And for, then we get to go into, well, what is defined as ministry? What counts, what doesn't? How do you define it?
I'm gonna pause you there because
Yeah.
let's define what a kink practitioner is. Like because there might be somebody listening saying, wait,
Yeah.
people practice that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so what does that mean to you to be a kink practitioner?
Thank you. Yes. So I am, some people say the word dominatrix. Some people use the word sex worker. I also identify as a sex worker and that I work with people with their sexualities. That term also has a lot of societal baggage, right? So it takes a moment to unpack. There's a lot of misunderstanding. So for me, I have taken what I have learned in kink spaces where I have been a submissive, or I have been a dominant, or I've learned about power play and dynamics and certain tools and implements that can foster a sense of connection and release, such as floggers, paddles. I have a gag on my wall right there behind me. I have my tambourine and my gag. Like, welcome to my house. This is my little sanctuary.
Yeah, okay, a tambourine and a gag and a piano.
The tambourine. This is me. Welcome to my house.
Welcome to KJ's world.
Exactly. But I started to see how it was just like body work. And there are practitioners who work with acupuncture. There are practitioners who do massage therapy school. For me, like though there was no official big schooling that I did, having training in how to flog in a ritual ceremonial context, that is its own service. That's its own body work. And I'm so grateful when I was learning how to do this and had friends who were willing and able and wanted to practice where there was no lovership. And I want to highlight the importance of this, that platonic kink exists and it's beautiful.
I testify.
Yes, it's wonderful. And, there's a lot to be said of having kink dynamics in a romantic relationship. And there's a lot to be said for not. Sometimes the attachment stuff that's there can really muddy the waters and it can sometimes cause some harm. I've been there. I've experienced it. It's a lot, right? Yeah. If you can do it and do it well, great. More power to you. And I've seen that keep people from exploring kink, people who are very curious and don't have either the privilege of partnership at this current time or a person they feel safe exploring with. So I thought, how can
maybe they have a partner who's not actually compatible with their kink, so there's a lot of reasons why. So I feel like there's a lot of things that warrant a little definition and explanation here. So, you spoke about this as sex work, but what I'm understanding is that it's not sex in the way many people understand it. And that's a real paradigm shift for many people.
Yes,
because I too consider myself a sex worker. I don't have sex with my clients.
Correct.
Now, my work is genitally focused. I'm guessing yours might not even be as a kink practitioner, or maybe
no. Yeah.
Right. And so when people hear the term sex work, like right here is a beautiful opportunity to kind of flip that on its head and expand our notions of what we mean when we say that. Because as you said, it's way more about helping people understand their sexuality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thank you for that. It really is an important distinction and a paradigm shift. Like, sex worker, there are genitals, there's penis and vagina penetration, and there's money exchange. It was like, that is one sliver.
Sliver.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oldest profession in the world, right? Like this, I'm going anywhere, and it's not limited to that at all. So in a lot of ways, yes, working with people's sexualities directly and really working with their erotic bodies. I feel like that's even more a more apt descriptor, and that erotic doesn't always mean sexual. That's a whole paradigm.
And you've been listening to me and this for a while, like for me, erotic is the umbrella term that is far more synonymous with our life force energy, our vitality, our creativity. Yes. And so sexuality is one facet of that, or one way that it could express, but it's not the only one.
Yeah.
And so, okay, we've got sex work that doesn't actually focus on sex as many people understand it. And then you started speaking about platonic kink. And so that too, it's like here we're seeing multiple examples of ways that people might begin to explore their erotic nature not within the confines of a romantic sexual dyadic partnership, but really open up all these different avenues. So how did you first find your way from those personal experience of the flogging at Touch and Play and what have you? Like, what was the jump from personal to saying, I want to facilitate this for other people? And how did you cultivate that?
Yeah, it took years.
Uh-huh.
It took years, and it took a lot of me being with the questions that we're having here right now, and my own presumptions of what sex work meant, and like, well, I don't want to be that, so just all this conditioning that I got to break down. And a couple years ago, I just had a moment where I realized that 5 of my closest friends, who I spoke to most regularly, like almost on a daily basis, 5 were all sex workers and had been in the field for a long time. I was like, but I found myself curious about their work. I was deeply invested in questioning, and how do you make it work? And oh my God, your client did what? Like, that sounds so beautiful. I was so compelled by their stories, and they kept being like, just do this.
Just do that.
Like, what? Like, what? You'd be great at this.
I'm over here chuckling because there's a lot of parallels in our journeys. When I made that decision to leave a corporate career and all the trappings of my life behind, I landed in a communal living arrangement with a gaggle of sex workers who I didn't know at the time, and I didn't know what that meant. And none of these women were actually having penis and vagina intercourse. I want it to be known. But they were facilitating these beautiful, transformational, spiritual experiences. And I was like, wait, what? And they apprenticed me. That was the early stages of the work that I've gone on to do. So I love it. It's like,
right.
Yes. We get to de-shamify and also demystify what this is about, because I think especially many of us who are female and have lived our lives acculturated as girls and women, we tend to know a lot less about sex work because it's primarily been targeted to male audiences and men. And so I think a lot of us don't really understand that it can be a much more nuanced exploration and set of offerings. So this is such a fun conversation to land into.
Agreed. Yeah. So I was also in my own way, like, apprenticed by those friends and really deeply encouraged, because I had been, years ago, way before Touch and Play, I just remember thinking, I'd be such a good dom. But because I was a nanny, and this is like, stay with me here. Like, don't cancel me, y'all. Stay with me. Like, I nannied for a decade. Then I became a birth doula. And what I saw was just like, it's just about caring for people and caring for the little one inside of everybody. Like, I had friends who were specifically in like psychological dom spaces. And when I heard of their stories, like, they're just tending the insides. They're tending the inner children of these people. So I was like, oh, and it's not all about, again, that's another term that I think has a lot of baggage, and people just assume manipulation, humiliation, degradation. That, again, is a tiny...
It's a subset.
It's a subset, right? And it's important. And like, some people really feel seen with that. And who am I to judge that?
Exactly. It reminds me of my first foray. A dear friend of mine who is a non-binary penis-having individual who's really into it, like, loves to be degraded, and I was like, it took me multiple years of our friendship and our overlapping in kink space to finally like step toward giving them what they wanted, because it was the thing that did it for them. And then I get off on being good at doing what you want me to do.
Right.
So like we found our whole interplay, but it can be a very provocative and scary and taboo among taboos, like humiliation, degradation. I think a lot of people misunderstand that. And I don't want to totally derail our conversation here with that. Yeah. But what it is fundamentally is there's some part of ourself, as you're saying, like, we're tending to the young one. Some part of ourself is needing this to be able to process and make sense of and find wholeness, find integration of experiences that maybe were not fully seen through to fruition. So it's such a beautiful thing, actually, to create a safe and sane container for that to unfold in.
Yeah. I mean, I remember one of my first humiliation scenes with a client. I really it took me doing it. I had resistance. I was like, I want to care for this. My thought was, but I want to care. I'm such a caring person. I'm just a love bug. Like, I just want to snuggle. I want everybody to feel welcome and included.
Like, come here, come here.
Come here. Like, let me be big spoon. Like, I just, that's such my nature. But it clicked when I saw how seen he felt and how witnessed he felt. I'm like, that's the way to care for this person. This is the way to hold them, is by saying these things. It's like how I provide care. And it was such a mind fuck at the time, but to witness the transformation, even in that 1 hour session that was, I was like, oh, I get it now.
And okay, there is so much wisdom in what's coming through here, because I want anybody who's listening, whether or not you think you have a kinky bone in your body, most of us, and this makes sense, most of us, our default way of loving and caring for other people is to do it the way we want it done for us.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that most of us know that there are limits to that, right? Yeah. So the way that I need and want care expressed may not be your way. And this is such a beautiful like lesson in how, when we bring our curiosity to another person's experience and maybe get over our own discomfort or our own stories about right, wrong, good, bad, and say, what actually matters here is I want to show up and meet you where you want to be met.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about like an expansion of possibility.
It's queering it.
Yes,
it's queering love. It's queering what we think care is.
Yes. And I love queer used as a verb. I love that. It's so dear to me. You know what's really interesting? I'll say, in preparing for our conversation, I actually went out to dictionary.com, to Merriam-Webster. I'm like, is this in the dictionary? It is not. It's not.
As a verb?
It's not as a verb. It shows up as the adjective, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm sure there's some Urban Dictionary version of it, but I was just like, I didn't dig deep. So someone out there, if someone's out there fact checking me, it's possible I didn't do all my due diligence here, but queering, right? Like queering to me is expanding. It's questioning. So talk about coming full circle. It's like bringing your doubt, but also bringing your possibility into what can be in just about any aspect of the human experience.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, just that one example of that client and queering what I thought care was.
Yeah.
Has helped me be a better listener, has helped me be a better friend. Like the ripple out is really extensive, and to challenge myself, to humble myself, to not make assumptions about, just as you said, well, this is the way I like to be cared for, so it must be the same for them. Like, let us get more curious than that in our one-on-one connections with our clients, with our families. Like, no, what works for you? Do I have that in my reservoir, in my toolkit? If so, great. If not, great. I want you to find that.
Right. Yeah. Knowing what is and is not in our purview, if you will, is just as important. And so there's this expanded perspective of what our sex gets to be, and what our gender gets to be, and what our sexual orientation gets to be. And I'm hearing through you what God gets to be, and what spirit and divinity gets to be. So and I know you said you just are a year into your master's in divinity. I don't know how long it takes for one to be in that, but what is it that you are learning about this more expansive idea of spirit, of God, that like you would want folks listening to know?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, gosh, what would I want to share?
It's a big question, I realize.
No, it's great. I appreciate it. I mean, really, so much of this first year has been a look more at just the harm that colonial Christianity has done, right? It's been a real downer. In so many ways. I love my school. My school is so queer, so progressive, amazing. And they have an extremely, in their words, like decolonial approach. So we are looking at like a lot of what coloniality has done, a lot of what just oppression has done. It's been eye-opening. I had a sense, and now after 1 year, I'm like, woo wee, there's a big old mess. And in that, there's still this pulse, there's still this honest question of like, okay, what I'm gonna kick it back to fourth grade right quick for me. Like, what would Jesus do? I know that's a big
With a bracelet, the little bracelet.
exactly. But like really sitting with that question, right? This unhoused Palestinian Jew who like
opposed fascism and was
exactly
deeply socialist.
Like no, like
kept company with lovers and whores.
Yes, all of that. Like what? And I use they them pronouns for Jesus. That's kind of my own thing. This is me. Cancel me if you want, y'all. I think if Jesus were alive and in a body today, they would absolutely be non-binary. They'd be totally a they them. So I just go ahead and take that liberty because I have my own relationship with them, and I think that's chill. But yes, how can we really bring a Christ-like ethic and not just what we read in the Bible? Like, what does it mean to have an ethic of caring for, quote unquote, the least of these, caring for marginalized, oppressed people? Like, can that be our center focused? And so many of us have been oppressed by what the church taught about sexuality. So across race, across so many different divides, like there is this common thread that expresses itself differently, granted, of how we've all been oppressed by this outdated Christian moral standard, which is
whether or not you yourself identify as being Christian and following.
Totally. It's impacted all of us in its own way. Like no matter
the fabric of our secular culture.
Exactly. It's rippled out. It's made a huge dent in the world. And there are good people looking at how to not only rectify this, but how to move forward in a way that minimizes harm and maximizes healing. And they do it in different ways. And it is my prayer to be one of those people. And I'm taking the steps now that I know that are available to be a tiny drop in the pond, drop my own little pebble of like, okay, we got a mess on our hands. How can we take what is beautiful and erotic and gorgeous about God and make it more accessible and really center care here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that word care has been brought in and evoked many times over. Kink as care, spirit and religion as care. And, I feel like that is the culture, if to use that word, like the culture that I want to be living in is one of care, of nurturance, of respect and dignity. And the very institutions that are supposed to uphold that are often the ones that are undermining it. And so
Absolutely.
to take this radical, and it feels radical to me. I'm noticing that too. It's interesting. Like I would consider myself somebody who's like pretty freaking progressive as far as all this goes. And the idea, I'm like, wow, KJ's in divinity school and an out kink practitioner. Like that's a really cool intersection. And I noticed like me, like something in me is like really excited and like I want more of this in the world because I do.
Yeah.
Like even though I've been walking my own path of sexuality and spirituality being integrally woven together for quite a while now, this still lands to me as something pioneering in its way. Although maybe that's not the word, because maybe it's more about a returning to something that once upon a time really was far more of the norm, and we've just gotten very far away from it.
Yeah, I mean temple arts in ancient society, like people would come home from war. Where would they go? Go to the temple for sexual healing.
Yep.
That was more normalized then. So again, that was a very different cultural context and time. But in a way, it is a reclamation and a remembrance of something sacred that has been stripped away. It's multidimensional. There is an ancientness to it, and there is a vision forward, and that's what just endlessly brings my mind and heart and body alive and in the gritty belly of the beast. And that, I'm admittedly one for intensity. I have 5 planets in Scorpio, not to chalk everything up to astrology, but like that ain't nothing. It's a factor. Like I love me some intensity. I love some drama. I want to go into the muck and know what is at the fucking bottom.
There we go.
That's just been my whole life. So I'm like, oh wow, this experience of schooling thus far has been very much that. And I think that's why it's so compelling and why I want to learn more and just feeling like a small potato. It's so humbling. And so many of the gatherings that I've been to as a part of this process, and seeing the work that has been done, the foundation of this has been laid. I'm like, oh, I'm doing nothing new. Like my vision of, having a queer kinky church, like there are so many elders who exist today, queer, kinky, trans elders who have been fighting the good fight for decades. I am privileged to know some of them, and it's so humbling to witness their work and their commitment and be inspired by that and be like, okay, let's put our sleeves up.
Who do you claim as an elder? Whose lineage do you see yourself carrying forward, even as you're creating your own version of things?
Thank you for asking. I mentioned my Bishop Yvette Flunder.
Yes.
Is a huge inspiration to me, and she founded the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries, her and a bunch of other pastors almost 20, 25, 30 years ago, I think. And they saw a real need for inclusion of especially queer folks in the church. So she is one. There are other bishops, Bishop Vanessa M. Brown out of New York, also part of the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries. And many of these women are elder Black pastors, lesbian pastors who have just been in the trenches and doing the work for a long time. And I'm honored to attend any service that they do and to, be in the same room as them. And and there's so many people that inspire me today that are younger than me. Alok, for instance, that incredible educator and comedian and bringing issues,
poet and
poet and performers. Like I'm so inspired by them and other musicians. A beloved friend of mine, their stage name is Whatever Mike, and they are also a non-binary queer artist who loves to bridge the intersection of spirituality, queerness, music, God, all of it, and really loving their siblinghood in this time. But most of my elders that I claim are in this Fellowship of Affirming Ministries and are just doing the damn thing and have been for a long time. And in my church in Oakland, there are many others, but especially the leadership of Bishop Yvette Flunder has been impactful for me.
That's amazing. Thank you. And when we share links in the show notes, we'll be sure to
look her up. Look her up.
Definitely. Well, there's our segue. So people might be listening to this like, okay, I think I'm into what this KJ person's offering. Maybe say a little bit more about the kinds of sessions you offer, because I know I'm very curious. I'm like, what queer praise and holistic kink, and tell us a little bit more about the shape that your offerings take presently.
Great. Yeah. So, and in terms of the holistic kink sessions, I see some people online, and more so the magic is in the room.
Sure.
It's being body to body, and with that process, there's always a thorough intake process of getting to know one another. We'll have a virtual session beforehand, to have a space of welcome and really asking, like, what are you curious about? What are you into? And having it known up front, like, this is not a space for me to judge or shame. Like, there's a lot of crossover between this and my voice practice. I've been a voice teacher for many, many years, and it's really a matter of supporting people, creating a container to voice the things that they've maybe never voiced before. I cannot tell you how many times I have heard, I've never told anyone this.
Yeah, I bet.
And I say, great, that is welcome here. What else? So in that, there's a lot of different things. I've received some requests that have just absolutely tickled me. I've been like, I'm not available for that, but thank you for saying it out loud, right? Like, I love that you just said it.
Creativity.
Yes, exactly. So, and then, yeah, for in-person sessions, they usually vary between 2 or 3 hours. Sometimes they can be more, and they're really personalized. They're really catered. And again, we're going to bring back the word. It's about care. It's about nurturance. And sometimes that means having the living shit flogged out of you and crying your eyes out, right? Sometimes it means being little spoon. Sometimes it means being called a sissy faggot slut. Like, the words work, physical actions work, and everyone has a beautiful, unique, myriad constellation within them. My role, my job is to bring that out and to create the space and the safety where it can be explored and held in integrity and in a lot of love.
Yes to that. And may we all have such spaces available to us. Like that's the world that I want.
I want it more normalized. I really do. And again, not everybody's cut out for this work, and that's okay. I just happen to be fascinated by people's kinks and what turns them on, and to be a person that can not be a partner, that isn't necessarily a friend, but a hired professional that says, okay, I can call you this. In this 2 hours, I will call you whatever name you want to be called and spank you till you sob your guts out. And that's we're here for you. So it doesn't have to be this thing you bring up with your partner. Are they going to say yes? Are they going to say no? You know, there's negotiation always. There's a thorough consent talk. So I'll say that as a general basis for the holistic kink sessions that I offer.
I love it. And I love the normalizing of it.
Yeah, it's just like, it doesn't have to be so taboo. Like, again, my schooling is showing me all of the ways that it has become that, and it's really understandable. And that there's a little jokester in me. There's a little trickster in me that's like, but does it, like, moving forward, does it have to be? Do we have to keep giving that airtime and power? Or can we just be like, hey, you want somebody to tape open your eyelids and stick their toes in it and you get off on that? Great. I had that request once.
And there we see that there is a vast range of things that people are called to experience, and it doesn't have to be for you. You know, it's you know, like, we also don't. I love the don't yuck another person's yum, like, which is to say, you don't have to be into what everybody else is into, but what we're doing here is making space for the fact that many of us find our healing, find our pleasure, find our liberation through a more queer array, a more diverse array of pathways than what our normative culture has told us we get to have. And so much about this is really in service to expansion and inclusion.
It is. It is.
Beautiful.
And, you know, so that's like a main subsect of what I do. And the other main component is Sing Praise, is my traveling queer praise and worship gathering that I do. You know, this year, I think I did like 30 of them. But like that, you know, they weren't all titled that, but most were. But it's a way to be in group singing that is prayerful, that is intentional, that doesn't have any dogma, that isn't, you know, talking about Jesus died on the cross for my sins. It's like not that. And people of all lineages and faith paths come to this. It's not by any means limited to quote unquote Christian thought. And the music is original. It's songs that I have composed, songs that I have written. And so that's a traveling thing. So also look that up. Like, we try to make queer welcoming church on our own terms, and have folks like really belting it out. And my main encouragement is like, get unhinged, cut up, don't be polite, go cry, rage, stomp out the room, like whatever.
Right. This isn't actually about being a great singer. It's about being available to this experience. I mean, community singing for me has been such a healing space. So I can only imagine with this lens on it. So where are the best places for folks to find you, KJ? Knowing that we'll have all the links in the show notes for sure.
Great. my site. I have 2 sites. I for multiple reasons, I do keep these offerings pretty separate. Because it can scare people off. I'm a voice teacher. Not everybody who wants to do voice lessons needs to know about the kinky shit. So kjsong.com, that's where Sing Praise lives. That's where my voice practice lives. I help people learn how to sing in their own way. I've been doing that forever. Prayerotic.com is my holistic kink site. So the word prayer and then the word erotic, but the ER of the prayer is the ER of erotic. You get it?
Yeah,
Erotic. I felt
it.
like, let me just tell you, I felt like such a genius when I thought of that. I'm sure I'm not the first person, but I was like, oh, that's the word.
There it
My
is.
website. So yeah, that's more information of holistic kink. And then Instagram, KJ Praise Song, that's my name.
All
And
these links.
an email, like reach out. I really I'm not a big timer, y'all. I'm not a big shot. Like it's just me and my old ass laptop. Like check like if people are like send me a message. I'm here. I have space and capacity, and I really especially just valued one-on-one depth connections. I'm not trying to do a big fucking marketing funnel and get everybody's whatever. I'm just like, I'm a real ass person. I imagine you are too. If there's a way that I can help you and I have capacity to, let me know. Great. I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Those links are going to be shared. Please reach out to KJ if you're interested in what they're offering. And KJ, any last little offer, any last little drop of wisdom, a little deeper dive that you want to leave folks with? That it can be reiterating something we touched on or something in addition to all the deliciousness that's been spoken here today.
Thank you. I'll say give God another chance. I feel so much, especially in spiritual spaces, that term is really contested, as we talked about, but they can know you and you can know them in a new way that doesn't have to be colored and tainted so much by the past. And it can be a felt sense. So, yeah, give them a chance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, KJ. It's been a total pleasure to be in conversation with you.
You too.